Let's go!
SNM Sports, it's not what you think. SNM Sports, it's not what you think. SNM Sports, it's not what you think.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm Scotty.
And I'm Mikey. And
together we are SNM Sports.
All right, welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Whether you're checking us on iTunes, listen to us on SoundCloud or Google Play, we appreciate that. You can always follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to find out where we are. But if any questions at all on where to find us and what to find, go to www.snmsports.com.
Yeah, check us out.
Definitely appreciate that. And we will continue to post the videos up on YouTube. You just don't have to look at our ugly mugs anymore.
Right.
All right, well, Scotty, let's roll it right into fantasy football for the weekend. Welcome to our house.
Yes.
All right, so, man, we didn't do very well in our fantasy leagues this week. Well, I shouldn't say that. I didn't do very well because turns out this man ended up beating me by 13.
Yeah. I made a key waiver wire pickup. My hand was forced more or less because Garoppolo got injured and knocked out for the year, so I had to scoop up a quarterback, and I picked the right one. I picked the guy that threw 5 of them on Thursday night, Jared Goff, and that's what put me in the lead and put me over the top the whole week.
Yeah, it's crazy what an injury will do to change, their whole view on your team. Where Scotty, I don't think that had Garoppolo not gotten injured, I don't think he would have went out and got Goff.
I don't think so either. I would have lost the week for sure. I mean, there's no saying Garoppolo wouldn't have thrown 5 touchdowns, but it was less likely, and it was less likely that I didn't even like Goff's matchup against Minnesota, but I just liked him. Going on from there, and he came out like a madman, and he was on fire, literally on fire. His touch on those touchdown passes were unbelievable. He looked so good.
Yeah, man, he looked phenomenal that night. It was a great game to watch, and that game really came down to a defensive play in the end where they strip sacked Cousins to end the ball game when they were actually driving down the field. So it could have easily ended in a tie, went into overtime. But that's one thing you gotta, stay up on the waiver wire and know what's going on out there.
Right.
And you mentioned it, Scotty. You picked up Goff, not looking at this week, but you're looking ahead.
Yeah, I was looking. I'm like, I gotta snag this guy because I'm gonna need a quarterback for the long haul. I didn't want to keep trying to stream quarterbacks and then kind of get stuck with somebody, because I was streaming left and right and get stuck with some bad matchups, and I just liked his matchups going on from here. He's in a fairly weak division, so he gets to play those teams a couple times, and they're just on fire. That offense is, even as a team, their defense too, but I mean their offense is clicking.
Yeah, I don't know who can beat this team. I mean, forget about fantasy football for a minute. I don't see a team beating these guys. Yeah. I mean, they'll most likely lose 1 or 2 games, just the way the NFL is any given Sunday. But
right.
As good as they've looked every game so far this season, I think that was a huge pickup, for you in that sense, and obviously it paid off this week.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely. So on to our SNM Sports League, and so Scott and I both suffered defeats this week, and I know for my teams on both. The Yahoo League and for this league, there was nothing I could have done differently to win these games with guys on my bench. So at least I didn't leave any points on my bench in that sense.
Right. Yeah, and this was my first loss in this league, and it was a tough one, but it happens, and it's not the end of the world. I'm still in first in my half of the east side of the division, or the conference, or however the league.
Yeah, there you
go. But you're not going to win them all. I mean, it's nice if you can, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, in fantasy football, that's one thing where I almost would want to lose at least one game. I just, because going undefeated, I've seen guys in the past go undefeated in the regular season and then lose that first game.
Right.
Because it's such a crapshoot. I would feel more comfortable leaving, at least having one loss.
Right.
So obviously, Scotty, you're on top.
Takes the edge off.
Yeah, definitely, right? The pressure is not there to win. It's just to make the right moves. So Scotty's on top on the East, and, Conan's on top on the West, which is, good for him at 3-1. So we'll see how we do moving forward.
Right.
And on to...
Let's get saucy.
That's right. Who's got the hot sauce? And who is Miles?
Yeah.
All right, Scott, let's take us into this first one. The first hot sauce of the week in our quarterback round.
I know Deshaun's kind of rated high, but he's definitely starting to click. And his receivers are looking good. I know Fuller got hurt, but he still ended up getting a touchdown last week. And I think he's finally caught his groove back, and I like him against Dallas this week.
Yeah, and Scotty, you mentioned it last week about Deshaun Watson. While you felt like, why you liked Fuller last week, because you felt like he needed a few weeks to kind of find his footing and get back into game shape. Now that he's there, he played like that this week, and Fuller had a touchdown.
Yeah.
And pretty much catches a touchdown every time that Deshaun is back there for the most part.
Yeah, I know Fuller missed that first game, so obviously he couldn't catch a touchdown. But every game he's played, he's caught one.
Yeah, definitely. So that's if you have him, you want to start him. If you're out there in DFS, definitely look to Deshaun Watson because he's got a really good matchup this week too. So you want to look for him as well.
Yes.
And on to our mild sauce for the week, and we're looking at Aaron Rodgers' mild sauce. Facing the Detroit defense, they're actually number one against wide receivers when it comes to fantasy. So that's something to look at. And really that matchup, I think that Detroit's going to play up because it's a division game.
Right, it's a division rival.
Yeah, so I think that kind of plays into it as well. Rodgers was mobile, but I feel like until Green Bay gives Aaron Jones the ball, and is the number one running back, this team is not going to play to their potential. Yeah,
they got to develop some kind of run game to take the pressure off of Aaron Rodgers. And
splitting carries the way they have, it hasn't been working out for them.
No.
Aaron Rodgers actually is averaging more yards than all the running backs right now, which we know that Aaron Rodgers obviously is a mobile quarterback, and he does that. But when Aaron Jones is on the field and has the ball, he's got over 5 yards he's averaging, so he looks good when he gets it, but he's splitting carries right now. And so I think that's really hurting Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers even said that in the media.
Right.
So if your quarterback's telling you, hey, come on, let's bring this guy in, you should probably listen to your, multi-million-dollar man back there. So if you do have Rodgers, there's a few other quarterbacks we feel you can look at. Matt Ryan's got a really good matchup with Pittsburgh. They give up a lot of points. Obviously, Jared Goff.
If he's still out there, you got to snag him.
Yeah, definitely. They got Seattle this weekend.
Matt Ryan, obviously, too.
Yeah, and then Andy Dalton. They're playing Miami, which Miami has looked good up until this last week, right? Their defense looked really good until this last week, but the Patriots exposed them.
Yes.
And now Miami's playing the way everybody thought that they would, and so we feel that that's a good play for you if you have Rodgers. Or again, if you're looking on the DFS side, these are three guys you want to look at. They'll be low dollars and high return in that sense.
Yes, that's a good call.
All right, so on to our hot sauce for our running backs. And man, this is a guy that is, next man up, right, Scotty?
Yeah, and he's taking advantage of it, especially because Fournette's in, then he's out, he's in, he's hurt, he's not hurt. But it doesn't matter to TJ. He comes in there and is just running over people. And I love his matchup against KC. KC scores a ton of points, but they give up a ton of points. And it's a very good matchup this week for him. Even if Fournette, for some reason, decides he's able to play or they say he's able to play, I would still start Yeldon this week.
Definitely, and again, look for him. He's a low money guy right now in DFS. They're not really giving them respect that they should on the FanDuel side, which is great for you. You can put him in there, especially even as the flex position too. So I think that's a great play this week. On the other side of that is our mild sauce, and it's might be surprising again, but Ezekiel Elliott, man. He killed last week. He had a monster week, and if Houston shuts him down, that's their offense.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Dak's not going to win the game for you. Zeke will, but Dak won't.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what we feel. If you've got other options out there, you definitely want to look to them. Some guys that are on the waiver wire out there. Also, if you need people for bye week fill-ins, you got Aaron Jones
Right,
for Green
you've been
Bay.
talking about.
Yeah, if they actually do give him the rock more than that he's been getting, that's a great move there. Hines from Indianapolis.
Yeah, he came in. He caught like 70, 80 yards, had two touchdowns.
Yep, 2 touchdowns last week.
So
Yep.
yeah, that's a good pickup. And then obviously TJ. TJ, I mean, is still out there. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's out there in a lot of leagues in which I can't understand that at all. So if he's out there, you definitely want to scoop him up. I know you're saying, well, I took Zeke with my first pick. But you know what? If you're going to win your league, you're going to have to make these tough decisions.
Right.
Sit Aaron Rodgers, sit Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, they're tough decisions, but if you make the right move there, that could be the difference between you winning and losing that week.
Absolutely.
Yep. So on to our hot sauce for our wide receivers, and here's a guy who hasn't caught a touchdown in a few weeks. He's gotten less than 10 points in the last 2 weeks, and that's Keenan Allen for the Los Angeles Chargers.
But yeah, I think he's going to show up this week against Oakland. Oakland secondary, they don't have a pass rush. You give Rivers time, he's going to find his number one receiver. And this looks like a good week for the Keenan Allen breakout party.
With Gates in there, you've got to respect that guy. He's been Phil Rivers' number one wide receiver for years as far as a go-to guy. And defenses really have to respect him so that it's going to open up Keenan Allen, downfield. So I think this is a great play.
And you got Mike Williams also over there. He's got weapons galore, Ekeler.
Yeah.
And Mel Gordon, of course. So I mean, they got to respect all that, but I still think Keenan Allen's gonna have a monster day.
I mean, he's due. So that's one thing with wide receivers is they go up and down like a roller coaster, and so when you got to catch those wide receivers when they come up due, because they will have slow weeks.
Right.
Michael Thomas had a slow week. There's quite a few of the big names that didn't have big weeks. But you're gonna keep starting some of these guys because they will come through for you. But that kind of leads us to our mild sauce for this week, right?
Yeah.
It's like an Odell Beckham Jr. This guy, he's just not getting the looks. It's funny, the article I was reading the other day about him is that folks were watching him, downfield to see what his reaction was when he was open but not getting the ball, and he hasn't started throwing tantrums yet like he did last year. But if he doesn't get those looks, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, and Manning's just not looking good. He didn't look good last year, and he's not looking really good at all this year. And he's got no excuses. He's got a ton of weapons. And I don't know if the Giants are second guessing drafting him Barkley or instead of drafting a quarterback. But we'll see. We'll see how the season plays out. But right now, Manning just looks lost out there.
Yeah, that's for sure. I agree 100%. So if you're looking at some other wide receivers you might want to put in instead of OBJ, John Brown from Baltimore. I mean, he is truly coming up for that team and is number one over there.
Right.
You got Keelan Cole for Jacksonville, who stepped into that role,
yes.
And he's number one as well. And another guy, Antonio Callaway for Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah.
He got quite a few looks from Baker this past week, which is really Baker's first start.
Right.
And if these rookies create that rapport, that duo could be something to watch. A few other people that you can look to this week for bye week fill-ins, because obviously we're into the bye weeks now, Scotty.
Yes.
On the tight ends, but I can't believe that Eric Ebron is still available out there in a majority of leagues. I mean,
yeah, and Doyle's out. So Ebron's getting even more looks, and Ty might not even play this Thursday. So getting Ebron this week may pay out big, even if you only need him for 1 week. Hopefully you get him because he's definitely going to be a big part of the offense on Thursday night against a suspect New England defense.
Yeah, definitely. And then you got George Kittle out there, who this guy is just stepping up in a big way. for his team was one of those, no-name guys. We're looking, he's number 5 in tight ends so far for fantasy.
Right. Don't matter who throws to him.
Yeah, which is crazy, but that's the kind of guys you want on your team. Is no matter who's in there, they're going to score points.
Yep.
And then obviously we mentioned Antonio Gates. We feel that he's starting to trend up, and he already has a rapport with Rivers, just kind of like Deshaun Watson. He has to find his footing, get back into real game shape, and he could be a dominant player for you out there. On the other side of that is the defensive side. If you're looking to stream this week, Tennessee has a good matchup against Buffalo.
Right.
Carolina's got a really good matchup against the Giants that we talked about. Saquon Barkley is really the only player on the Giants side that's going to score any points. If Carolina can shut him down, they can pretty much shut that team down.
Yep.
And obviously Denver's defense always looks good. And then they get the Jets this week. So look to those teams if you want to stream. And then obviously with kickers, Sturgis out there, he just got signed. The Rams decided that they wanted to part ways until Zerline comes back.
Yep.
So he's out there now, but he's a veteran. And also Suckup and Bullock are out there as well, and they have really good matchups also if you're looking to stream kickers.
Yeah.
All right, so on to our pigskin pick'em, Scotty.
Yep.
All right, so Scott and I did our picks already for the week, and there's only 3 games in which we don't agree, and we'll get to those in a second. But first, our picks that we did match up on. We obviously picked New England this Thursday against Indianapolis.
Like them home against Indy.
Both like Cincinnati over Miami, Baltimore over Cleveland. We don't think the Cleveland is going to get that next win there. Denver, we think both are going to bounce back against the Jets this week.
Yeah.
For your Green Bay is going to definitely beat Detroit, even though they'll play them tough. We feel
Right, it'll be a close game.
We think that Mahomes is going to continue with that magic. Fitzpatrick's gone now; it's Mahomes' magic
That's
time.
a really tough matchup.
It is, but I think that kid's going to pull through and find a way to win that game. He seems to be like that kind of special quarterback that these guys have, and we know why Alex Smith is now on Washington. It just makes sense now.
Yeah.
And then Carolina over the Giants is kind of a no-brainer for us. The Chargers over the Raiders. Definitely, the Chargers are playing way better than the Raiders are. The Rams over Seattle because obviously they're unstoppable.
Rams, yeah.
Then you got Houston over Dallas because they're both bad teams.
And then we got Philly over Minnesota.
Yeah, we both like Philly. Minnesota's trending down.
Yeah. Surprisingly.
1-2-1. I mean, we didn't think that at all. We think to be on the top of the division where the Bears are.
Right.
They're in a bad place right now. They have a tough game this week in Philly. And then obviously the Monday night game, we have Saints over Washington. That for us is kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But on to the games in which we defer on our picks. The first one is Atlanta over Pittsburgh. And I picked Atlanta. Yes, Pittsburgh's at home, and Roethlisberger plays well, really well. But I think that there's just so much turmoil going on with Pittsburgh, and now that Le'Veon said he's coming back, I feel like the circus is going to continue. And Atlanta's playing that well, even though they lost this last week. I think that Atlanta is playing that well that Matt Ryan's going to go into Pittsburgh and get that win.
Yeah, I'm looking for actually Pittsburgh to finally get a decent win against a quality team here. Just because I just feel like their defense is going to show up this week. And Atlanta's playing with some backup secondary. And I think Brown and Juju are gonna have a field day against that. It still should probably be fairly high scoring, but I still think Pittsburgh's defense might actually win this game for them.
It's interesting, Scotty, because I feel like the last team, whoever has the ball at the end of the game, is going to win that game. I feel like that's going to be one of those games for this coming week, but I feel like Atlanta is going to come out on top. And then on to the next game in which we don't agree, and that's the Buffalo-Tennessee game.
Yeah, I'm surprised you went with Buffalo in this one. Is that your upset game changer pick?
Yeah, Scott, this is definitely one of my upset picks. I looked, all the games, watched the highlights from last week, and Buffalo played really well last week, even though they obviously didn't win the game. But Buffalo's defense is actually pretty good. I was surprised at how well they did play. It was just that Josh Allen couldn't get anything going. Where I feel like Tennessee's defense is not that good. And so I feel like they are definitely going to come into Tennessee and get that win. Even though Tennessee had a huge win last week, in overtime to squeak it out, but I feel like Buffalo's going to go in there and get that next win.
Yeah. Well, it's just I don't know. I think Tennessee's just had too many big wins. I mean, they beat Philly. Then they beat Jacksonville. I just don't see Buffalo even hanging around in this one. But we'll see. They got to play the game, right?
Definitely. And the last pick where Scott and I did not agree was the San Francisco and Arizona game.
Yeah, I think Arizona will finally get their first win of the season.
On the road, no kidding.
This is kind of my upset, like your Buffalo kind of thing. I'm sure San Fran will be favored in this one. I didn't even look. But I just, Josh will get his first win as a quarterback this week.
Interesting, going with the rookie in Arizona, away actually. I'll say away, and well, I guess we'll see how that all pans out.
Right.
All right, well, on to want to recap last week really quick, and again, gotta give it up to Scotty. He won the week outright in our league, and really, Scotty, I think the biggest pick for you was New England over Miami, which really wasn't an upset pick, but I felt so many people were picking Miami because of how well they were playing, and New England didn't play good the week before.
It's exactly, yeah. Miami has been looking good with undefeated, and then you got Miami or New England coming off that terrible loss to the Lions on Sunday night. I had a feeling a lot of people were leaning towards Miami on that one, but I it's the Patriots. Unfortunately, I hate saying stuff like that, but I didn't think they would let themselves lose another one, and this is a big game for them, a division game.
And so that's why I picked Miami. I felt like they were in a groove. Division game. Miami always plays New England. And then we talked about, Tom Brady was our mild sauce for quarterback last week.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned you should play, Goff, Dalton, or Matt Ryan, and actually they all scored more fantasy points than Brady. But that doesn't matter when it comes to picking wins and losses, right, Scotty?
No, yeah, you can't. That's all that matters is the W.
Yep, definitely. So gotta give it up to Scotty. And really, Scotty, you could have went 15-0 this week.
I thought I might have had a chance. That I lost. I took Atlanta against Cincinnati, and they left AJ Green open in the end zone there, and they lost by 1 point. So I lost that game by 1 point. And then I took the Eagles over Tennessee, and that game went into overtime, and Tennessee pulled that one out. And then the other game I picked that I lost was I took Cleveland to beat Oakland, and that game had to go into overtime too. And Oakland had to pull off a miracle to win that one. Score a touchdown, 2-point conversion just to get into overtime. So I mean, all those games, just came down to 2 overtimes and one was a 1-point game. So I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes. But I was close to going, perfect that week. This past week.
And that's not tough when it comes to picks, because this is straight up. There's no confidence. There's no spread that we're going at. It's just wins and losses. And it's very rare we've ever seen somebody go, 15-0 or 16-0.
It's hard, yeah.
Because
there's always something that happens.
Yep, always something. True. So obviously, Scotty, his dominance so far with the picks, he won the month of September. And really, Scott, he went 39 out of 47 picks right in the month of September. I thought that was huge. It was 82%, where I was 29 out of 47. It was 65%. But, Scotty, where are you at right now overall with picks and picking money, ESPN.com?
I'm in the top 98.5 percentile. I'm like 8,000 something place out of every entry. I don't know. It doesn't even say how many entries. So
it's got to be at least 1 million, if not more.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's a way to do the math, I guess. But
right, that's true. The reverse math.
But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Knock on wood so far.
Yep. So give it to Scotty. He was crowned the King of September. I have yet to wear a crown or a belt or anything of the like. But I guess I gotta pick Buffalo to beat Tennessee at home to try to capture that crown. So
Right.
we'll see how that goes. All right. So around the world in sports. So Scott and I wanted to give our predictions for how this postseason is gonna play out. So obviously the Brewers are playing the Rockies, and we're actually on the same page on the NL and AL.
Right.
We got the Brewers that are going to beat the Rockies. I just think the Brewers are playing such good baseball. The momentum coming into Chicago to get that win and get the division, not to play, on Tuesday night.
Right.
I think that's really in their favor. Where Colorado's got to, try to get some sleep and play on Thursday and, tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, I know it's an emotional win they had, but they're going over to Milwaukee to play a tough Milwaukee team. With half their they basically played their whole lineup. So they're going to be tired. And it's you would assume they would lose that first game just on that fact alone.
Yeah, definitely, which is great when you're at home and get that first win from Milwaukee. That takes into the other side of the bracket where the Dodgers are going to face the Braves. And I don't see any reason why Atlanta is going to snap out of what they've been doing for years and years and years, and that's getting the playoffs and then just not show up at all.
Right.
And
the Dodgers are playing well, too. They're a hot team right now, too. So.
And I think the Dodgers are the hottest team in baseball right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anybody beating it, quite honestly. So, we're both picking Dodgers to beat the Braves, and obviously it'll be Milwaukee versus Los Angeles. And I don't see any reason why the Dodgers would lose against Milwaukee.
No.
I just not going to happen. Which would be great. We'd love to, have our hometown team, play in the World Series. So onto the American League side, last night the A's played the Yankees. No idea who won, but we really think not going to matter.
Right.
Boston's going to be either one of those teams, in the first round, and they're going to end up having to play Houston. Because I just don't see Houston, losing to Cleveland.
Right, Houston's tough.
Yeah, another 100-season win for them.
Right,
which is great. But we think that Houston's mystique from winning it last year is going to fizzle out once they face Boston in that division round for the division champs. And so interesting enough, though, Scott and I agree on every win up until the World Series. Dodgers versus Boston, and I've got the Dodgers and you got Boston. All right, so on to the NHL. So the NHL opened up last night. We're going to give our predictions for what we feel is going to be the Stanley Cup Finals and Championship. And so I'm obviously going to be picking my second favorite team, and that's the Las Vegas Knights. I feel that they're going to end up playing the Winnipeg Jets, and Vegas is going to handily beat them to get to the Stanley Cup Finals again. And then obviously on the other side of the bracket, we feel that Tampa Bay is going to end up playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. Feel that there'd be two Canadian teams, in the conference finals, and yet they're both going to lose.
Right.
And I think this is the year that Vegas is going to. It's kind of funny to say that this is Vegas' second year. And we're talking about this is the year that Vegas is going to break through and win the championship.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah.
They almost did it last year.
Yeah, and they played great hockey.
They were there.
Couldn't do it in the end. And obviously there's the magic with Ovechkin finally getting his first cup, and doing that. But I don't see that Washington is going to get anywhere near, the finals this year. One thing that's interesting is that Seattle is most likely going to get the expansion team, not this season, but next season. And Bettman announced that Vegas does not have to participate in the supplemental draft. So Vegas is not going to have to give up any of their players, while the other 30 teams are going to have to, which if they're not the favorite this year, they'll definitely be the favorite, this next year, because everybody else has to give up somebody.
Yeah, they got to keep the core. They get to keep the core of their team together, and that's crazy.
Yeah, so I feel like Vegas is going to be one of those teams that's going to be around for the next few years, battling every year for that cup. It's exciting to have sports, sports in Las Vegas. Obviously, the Raiders will be there in 2 years as well, sooner if they can get that stadium built.
Right.
So Vegas finally has sports, and Seattle will finally have a hockey team.
They had a WNBA championship over there.
And Scotty called it. That's right. The Seattle Storm. Well, speaking of basketball, Scotty, preseason already started, but the league itself will start next week.
Regular season, yes.
Regular season. And Scott and I actually are in complete 100% agreement on how the conference finals and the finals will play out. We feel that it's going to be a Boston versus 76ers final in the
Those are
East.
the two best teams in the East for sure.
Definitely, and I think that they played so well last year. At least Boston did. They were so close, but they met LeBron, but LeBron's no longer in the East.
Right.
So really, it's Boston's to lose in that sense.
Yes. And they got a healthy Kyrie and a healthy Gordon Hayward. And they were they were in the finals without those two. It's unbelievable, and you're going to get those two now. I mean, they look to be unstoppable in the East.
Yeah, definitely. And then on the West, no surprise there. We feel like Golden State is obviously going to make it, to the conference champs.
Right.
But we both feel that the Lakers are going to be there. I just can't count LeBron out.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah. No matter who's with him or what team he's on and what city he plays in, he gets his team to the finals. What is it, 8 years in a row now?
Yep, 8 years in a row.
It's been to the finals.
And watch that team, watch Magic, watch Jeannie Buss at the trade deadline. I feel that they're going to make a move.
I mean, there's still a chance, but I really, it's hard to top Golden State. But, yeah, who knows? If they, barring trades and injuries and stuff,
Yeah, well, I definitely any trade's going to happen. I don't think it's going to affect Golden State, in the sense they're going to definitely win it this year and win it outright, over Boston. But I feel that the Lakers will make a move which will set them up for next year and the next 3 years, to start their own dynasty and unseat Golden State.
Right.
Because it's going to take LeBron James and a few other people to unseat these guys. I mean, they have 5, if not 6, of some of the best players in the NBA, on their squad.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So that is our Around the World in Sports. All right, well, thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Once again, don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Google Play. You can also follow us on all social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if there's any question at all on where to find us or what to do, check the website, www.snmsports.com.
Yeah, everything's right on there.
That's right. That's where you can find us, folks.
All right. So let's go.
And cut!
That was perfect.